ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone in between and adjacent, welcome to the Rush Rundown, what I believe is the first and only 10-minute testing ripoff for Rush Duels. Today on the Rush Rundown, we're taking a look at a deck that's been kind of overshadowed. A deck that came out at a pretty bad time, all things considered, just being completely overshadowed by Gaia and 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 Gaia. However, with Gaia exiting the format soon, what's a better time than right now to take a look at this hot deck, PYRO. This is the part of the video where I tell you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. That's right, today we're taking a look at PYRO, and you might be surprised that Maddox's signature deck isn't actually Gaia, despite the fact that when he was released, coincided with the release of Gaia, so everyone and their mother were playing Maddox with Gaia instead of this. PYRO, his actual signature deck and his actual ace monsters. This deck is pretty interesting. It's very similar to Dark Galaxy, being a pretty strong, consistent beatdown deck that really gets a lot of advantage over the opponents in combat. However, this deck does play a bit differently. It has a lot more interesting tools, as well as access to tools that other decks use that Dark Galaxy does not. Now, what better way to start our card by card than with the skill? Now, before we get started, this skill is actually very similar to the Dark Galaxy skill, which is where a lot of the comparisons come from. Our skill is Fatal Roar. Can be activated from turn 2 onward. During a turn that you normal or special summon a normal monster face up. If all the monsters in your constructed deck are Pyro type, no, the effect monsters have 100 or more defense. Send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. If you don't have a face of level 7 or higher effect monster in your field, you can also add one level 7 or lower monster with 1500 or more defense from your graveyard to your hand. So like I said, yeah, that is very similar to the Dark Galaxy skill. They're not exactly the same. The restrictions, of course, are all different to coincide with what this deck wants. But it's interesting, this deck actually has some pretty cool tools that we can actually loop with said skill. But in order to explain those better, we should just get to those in the card by card. So first up, we have the boss monster of our deck. We have the Chemicalized Salamander, level 7, 2500, 1500 defense. Shuffle 3 power type monster from graveyard into the deck. All face-up monsters in your opponent's field lose attack equal to the number of monsters in your opponent's graveyard times 100 to the end of this turn. This card is essentially a Talismanic Seal Array on legs. Not only that, it doesn't actually care about the monsters in your graveyard, except for the requirement to shuffle back. So if you're playing out a long, grindy game, you're actually better off with your opponent being quote-unquote ahead on monsters to you. As well, the effect is an AoE effect, where Talismanic Seal Array targets one card. This targets all the opponent's cards. Basically meaning if Salamander is online, he can swing over nearly any other boss monster in the game. The only ones that'll take a little bit of a challenge to out are going to be the big 3k guys, but at that point they're probably fusion summoning or something like that, and their monsters will probably lose enough attack from Salamander effect for him to get over. Next up, our legend card. Yes, PYRO did in fact get a legend card available in the shop. We have the Flame Ruler, classic card, very nice new art for the Rush. No requirement, it's an old Yu-Gi-Oh card, they didn't have those back then. This face-up card can be treated as 2 tributes or the tribute summon of a fire attribute monster in attack position. So this is a card that we can loop with our skill. Basically, we can tribute summon a big normal guy, activate the skill, add the Flame Ruler back, and then tribute summon our Salamander. It's not a crazy strong loop, but it is something really interesting that we can do. Next up, we got 3 Ember the Hyper Assistants. If your opponent has a monster in their field, send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard. So summon one level 7 or higher power type monster from your hand face up to your field. And if you have Ember the Super Assistant in your graveyard, then the monster special summoned by its effect gains 800 attack on the other's turn. Really cool. She's essentially a Secret Order on legs. Very interesting part of this deck is how the best cards in it are literally just a different cool card, but slightly changed and PYRO specific. As well, she does mention the card Ember the Super Assistant, which is this normal monster that we're playing 3 of. She has a very simple effect to get off, especially when you're putting a lot of cards into rotation with your skill, as well only shuffling back key cards with your Salamander, something like using a spent Ember or a milled Ember, put her back and keep the super assistant version Ember in your grave. We're on 3 of this guy, whose name I'm very uncomfortable with pronouncing. Normal monster, 2500 attack, 1600 defense, level 7. So he is a target for Secret Order. Basically, we want to mill a copy of him with our skill, add a salamander or an ember or flame ruler, and then use the Secret Order to summon him out from our graveyard. And then becomes a really big beater. Or we can start a turn with Secret Ordering him out to the field, and then our skill is online. Following that, the rest of the deck is just normal dudes. We're on 3 Gurmailwi. I don't know, can't pronounce that. Anyway, he's a 1500, that's all that matters. We're on the 3 Ember, the super assistant, like I said, and 3 Dr. Redrobe, our other 1500 Pyro. Then for our spells, legend card Pot of Greed. Of course, Pot of Greed, it's awesome. We're on 3 Secret Order, because like I mentioned, this guy is a Secret Order target. We're on 3 Fiery Blaze, this is our MST, and it is a burn card, yes. You have 2 or more face-up Pyro-type monsters in your field, inflict 300 damage to your opponent, then you can destroy 1 spell or drop card from your opponent's field. So you will get the prompt to activate this card, even if the opponent has no spell or trap, so you gotta be careful about that. But hey, if you just want to burn them, you just want to burn them. We're on 1 Talismanic Seal Array. Yeah, we do a lot of putbacks with the Salamander, but we do also mill a whole lot, so we will need Seal Array to put things back. As well, of course, the attack modulation is, of course, really good. We're on 1, the Noodle Art of Roastery. Interesting card. Probably weren't expecting to ever see this thing outside of Noodle Ninjas, but let's read this. You have face a level 7 or higher Power-type monster in your field. All face-up Power-type monsters on your field gain attack equal number of normal monsters in both the rest graveyard times 100 at the end of this turn. Basically just another big AoE buff for us to, then swing over our opponent. Our legend trap is Trap Hole. The Dragon deck is still going strong, and as of recording, we are still in Gaia format. Yes, Gaia is leaving the format soon-ish, but for now it is still there. And of course, our last card is the Buffered Slime. So, with all that said, why don't we check out some games and see how the deck plays? Alright, here we are, game number 1, and our opponent is on Dark Galaxy. We'll be able to see from this game the similarities between the 2 decks. So our opponent's going first. He's going to go ahead and normal summon the Azarth, normal summon the Cataphract effect. So they can't use their skill this turn, but they can still do the Cataphract. So they're going to do a second Cataphract, just trying to hit something. Ended up milling Call of the Earthbound, very funny. So we'll draw return. We found Secret off the top. Now if we can only find a Chromo to summon from the grave, and we found nothing really. Adding a Salamander, normal summoning 2 guys, activate our spell, pop the back row, it was Universal Storm. Normal summoning Ember effect, send her, summon out the chemicalized Salamander effect, putting back the cards we would much rather draw than have in the grave, then setting the Secret Order. That could come back and bite us later if the opponent does MST the Secret Order, but they're already 1 down, so hopefully we get to retain it for the next turn. You can see we did a decent amount of damage to the opponent after lowering their entire board with the Salamander, so we get to clear everything. But we do just have a bunch of guys sitting in attack position. They go ahead and normal another Azarth, mill a whole bunch, and they find Requiem right off the top. Oof. Seeing another Storm there is also pretty good for us. Globule effect is putting some guys back. That's very worrying. Tribute 1 for the Trancer. Okay. That Globule was 2 tributes for the Requiem, but if you just want to transfer out the Requiem, that is okay too. Summoning out the Requiem, normal summoning another monster, and summoning a second Trancer. Requiem effect. Boosting himself, swinging over there, swinging over here with the Trancer, and crashing there. Awkward, but they still got to the full board clear. But hey, we gotta keep this Secret Order. So we're going to normal summon our 1500 Beater, Fatal Roar, mill, add a Salamander. Unfortunately, we didn't get the right Ember, so we can't just get that out for free. Here we go, Chemicalized Salamander, summon him. Secret Order out the Chromo from our hand. Ooh, oh, from grave, I'm sorry, I didn't even notice we milled one. Okay, let's Secret Order out the other one from our hand. And I'm pretty sure this is just lethal, so we'll Salamander and guarantee it. Swing here for 7, swing there for 22, and direct with 32 finishes the game. So like I said at the top, you can definitely see the similarities between the overall gameplay style of our decks, but the AoE stat manipulation of the Pyro deck is pretty good if you're just going for a beatdown strategy deck. Beatdown versus beatdown? Okay, whatever. Let's just stop yapping and get to the next game already, right? All right, here we are, game number 2, and our opponent is on Gaia Materion. But hey, wait, before you get mad, yes, we're still in Gaia format as of recording, as of filming this match, but this guy's actually on a pretty interesting version of the deck. You'll be seeing what he is kind of cooking in a second. Now you can see we are going second once again, and our hand is pee-pee poo-poo, but at least we have the secret order to summon the Chromo from our hand. So they go first, they're going to hit set 1, set 2, set 3, set a back row, and set another back row. Banger turn. Let's see if we can break this. So we go ahead and find the second secret order. Hey, maybe after we summon this Chromo, we can use our skill and mill out the second one. Let's see. And we didn't, but we found an Ember, so we can normal summon the Ember, summon out the Salamander. That's nice. Set 2 cards and go battle. Clear out 2 guys. No response from the opponent. Pretty good for us. We just swing in, and this is when it revealed to us that we were in fact fighting Gaia Materion, seeing Gargoyle and Sword Dance is a pretty good hit. Oh my god, they draw the poly off the top and summon Vitristar. Okay, Celerities, target Vitristar, add Serpainter, add back the poly, and it seems like they're going for a second one. And also in Serpainter, Dragons end up popping one over back because they didn't realize that this is not a dragon, and as I'm saying that, our other back row got popped. So we are down to 2 secret orders, and now we do not have the access to Roastery. But going for that play means they only have this one Vitristar into our board, so we got to keep this Chromo. Go ahead and activate the skill, adding back the Salamander, Ember effect, summoning out the Salamander. It's a little awkward that we're keeping some useless cards in our hand, but let's go Salamander, put back the Embers, and a red robe, all cards we want to draw later, but we can hop into battle, go ahead and swing in. Ooh, Dragon's Fortitude. So you can see here, let's pause for a second. So you can see here, what this person is actually playing is a more dragon-focused version of the Gaia Materion deck, leaning more into the Vitristar, and also having cards like Dragon's Fortitude to protect their big guys. Now, is that better than the regular deck? I don't know, and there's no reason to really test that. Alright, let's keep going with battle. We already know the last 2 back row are pretty much nothing, so we swing in over the entire board. We did crash with Chromo because of the Fortitude, but that's kind of okay. Talismanic Seal right at the top, putting back all their good cards they'd rather draw. Lowering down the Salamander, so any old guy can do it. Star restart, summoning out the Serpainter, Dragon's Inferno, magically popping the Trap Hole, but it's fine. The other 2 cards they drew were back row. So we lose the Salamander, sure, but we get to keep our 1500 guy, and oh my god, this is an insane hand. Go ahead and activate Fiddle Roar, milling again, adding another Salamander. Go ahead and summon the Flame Ruler, trading it for Salamander. Sorry, getting a little ahead of myself. Summon the second Salamander. Probably going to drop another 1500 guy. Salamander 1 activates its effect, putting 3 cards back that we'd love to draw for next turn. Second Salamander, putting back even more guys that we would just love to draw. Putting that guy down super low, and oh my god, they were toggling the entire time. I'm being honest, they were holding this negate attack for the longest time, and they didn't even show that they had a toggle until that early Fortitude. So I genuinely thought I was swinging into nothing. Anyway, so the card set was Poly, so they're summoning out the Star. This is getting worrying. Celerity, target the Star, Middle Cursor Dragon, Star Popper back row, whatever, it was our Seal Ray. Summon another guy, Tribute 2, there's Battle Tested effect. Bringing out the Swift Gaia. Okay. Swift Gaia effect, mill, and of course they drew Seal Ray off that, but at least they milled a Battle Test until they put it right back. Lowering down our Salamander, swinging in, we take 23, Jesus Christ, take 100, and this has just been an intense game, if I can tell you that. And now we have a pretty weak hand, and normal effect at Salamander, okay, much better. Normal Summon Red Robe, Tribute 2 for Salamander, effect, put back 3, lowering their stats. Normal Summon the Ember, summon the Chromo again. And then we drop down our 1500 beater. Alright, let's go ahead and clear out this board. Swing in for 100. Swing in for 300, sorry. We swing in with 25. And then last thing, we swing over the Sword Dancer. They draw for turn. and they're just gonna set a bunch of cards. I was very worried at this point because we are dead in one shot to the Gaia dude that just attacks you directly, and it does not seem like they have access to it at this point. Fiery Blaze gonna hit the new set, which is the guard. Okay, if we actually manage to break through this wall and attack directly, that'd be something. Oh, 3 matching reactors. Oh, you shouldn't have. All right, they draw for turn again. Normal summon Pal's Gargoyles. Tribute 2, bring out Battle Tested. And honestly, I was hovering the surrender button at this point, and then they summon Swift Guy again. Okay. Normal summon the other Swift Gaia that's not the fusion. Draw a card, set a card, swing in for 100, swing in for 4, and leave this guy up. And I'm like, wait. I'm very confused at this point because they had game. They summoned the guy who could attack directly. So we'll just go ahead and play. And then I'm thinking, what are we really going to do here? We can't exactly win through this board. But as I start comboing off, I do realize something very important. They have 4 cards left in deck, and they have to draw 5, or else they lose. So let's just go ahead and swing in over these dudes, just wipe their board, make sure they have absolutely nothing, and then they draw for turn, and lose by deck out. Yep. We won that one by deck out. So after this match, I went ahead and did a check deck on this guy, and in order to play the Metarion fusions and a different one of in their deck, they did in fact cut the Gaia that could attack directly, which would have just won them the game. Well, their deck building issue is our success, I guess. All right, why don't we hop into the game 3 and find a little more meta, streamlined, however you want to call it, Gaia deck. All right, here we are, game number 3, and you know what that means. 1v1 versus Gaia Metarion. Boy, howdy, I can't wait till this is over. Anyway, we're going first this time. Go ahead and set 2 cards. Set 1 back row. I'm sorry. We're saving this Secret Order and Chromo in hand for our next turn. The normal Serpainter, tribute 2 for Battle Tested, and I already thought I was dead. Go ahead and add Sword Dancer. Add Poly of the Celerity skill, and oh Jesus Christ. At least they used the boost on the Battle Tested, right? Activating Poly. Summoning, of course, with the heart opened Imaginary Actor, Metarion Shura Star. And setting 1 back row. Sure, start popping our back row. It's literally nothing, but now they also have piercing. Thankfully, it seems like they drew a tribute monster, so the guy's just sitting in their hand. They swing in, deal a lot of damage to us, and then leave us with an empty board. Alright, that's an alright draw. So we're normal summon 1500 beater, activate our skill, hopefully hit another Chromo, and which we do. And also Ember. Oh my god, we have so many choices. So we're going to go ahead and go Ember, summon the Chromo from hand, Secret Order, summon the Chromo from grave, and we'll be saving the other Secret Order in this Flame Ruler for next turn. Setting 1, going battle, swinging over the Ashura Star, swinging over, oh, never mind, it is actually Musical Princess set in the back row, so they do get to retain the Swift Gaia. Thankfully, the Ashura Star is gone, don't have to deal with that popping cards every single turn. You can see they milled Widespread, which love to see that, and then they swung over a Chromo and passed. With 4 cards in, I can only imagine that means they drew all their tribute summons at this point, which crazy for us. We'll go ahead and pop the back row. It's card restoration. Hey, that's my card. I love that card. All right, Secret Order that we were saving. Summon out the Chromo. Activate the skill. Get Ember. That's pretty cool. Use that for next turn. New our Rosary, boosting all our dudes. Swing in for. Wait a second. Let's do some math here. 25, 42. Oh, the game is over. Didn't need to play for anything for next turn anyway, we just won the game. Quick one, definitely quick in contrast to that, like, 7 minutes of raw footage for game 2. Oof. So, we're back with the deck, and hey! I liked it. That was a lot of fun. Those games were a lot of fun for me, except for the ones where I thought I was dead and was very angry. No, but this Pyro deck is pretty dang fun. Honestly, it's very interesting how it plays so similar to Dark Galaxy, and yet it also feels different at the same time. Strange how something can feel the same but different. But let's go over some pros and cons before I start rambling about too much. First, of course, the pros. We get super huge attack stats. The boost from Ember, the boost from Secret Order, the boost from Roastery. Impressive, just impressive stat lines that we can get these monsters on. And right now, there's not really another deck that's doing it like this. There are decks like Light Machine that can get really high numbers temporarily, but nothing else can get that for the entire field the way Pyro does. And not only that, we get the ability to lower the opponent's attack stats in an AoE or single target if we draw the Seal Ray, which is very impressive. It's another thing that really propelled decks like Hero and Cybers to pretty decent heights. We get that, and we get a bigger AoE than even Cybers does. As well, the tools we have in this deck are really cool. Basically being able to summon our big guys out for free from hand or grave, or even just tributing them for free, is super cool. Being able to loop specifically Flame Ruler or Ember is another really awesome option that we have. There are also plenty of other generic Pyro support cards that we didn't really test or slot into this deck. I felt the Noodle Art Roastery was probably the best one we had access to, and it honestly really came up the most out of all the other ones I had tested. Honestly, never have I felt safer leaving dudes in attack position than playing this deck, where I could just guarantee, even if my Salamander or my Chroma got outed, I was probably just bringing out either another one or bringing back the same one on my very next turn. Now, it's not all great with this deck. Let's talk about the cons. First up, our biggest weakness, defense position guys. Yes, our big weakness is the fact that we don't have any piercing. There are cards that we could slot in that give us piercing, but they kind of stink. So we have to streamline the deck into being as aggro as possible, but then we don't have the piercing ability, which is rough for us. Where a smart opponent will just set into defense until they have the play to kill us. Similar to how you would out a Magnum Overlord board, where you just set into the big Magnum and then eventually deck out the opponent. That can't really happen to us in the same way because we're always putting back with Salamander, but they can just stall us out all the same and then eventually just crack back and kill us. As well, our other big weakness is that sometimes you just whiff with the skill. I mean, it's not guaranteed to hit every single time. You saw some of those games where we activate the skill and we just build the good embers and not even the super assistant ember, or we build our pot of greed, or we build our secret orders. We do run out of tools fairly quickly, not being able to get back things like Secret Order at all, so once they're spent, they're just gone, is a problem. Of course, we still have the Embers, but then we need to make sure we have Salamander, so Salamander can keep looping, but then if they out Salamander and then we can't get one back, then we're pretty much sitting ducks to die on the spot. Along with our weakness to defense position that I mentioned before, we are kind of missing the really good aggro pushes that would put the right kind of pressure on our opponent. So I mentioned that they just set in defense to beat us, and that's because we are missing that kind of aggro, where a deck that's also aggressive like Worms, they can eventually get to the fusion, which lets them pop 2 monsters on the opponent's board so that they can start swinging for game. We don't have anything like that. We're also really weak to that effect as well, losing our 2 big guys and then just getting swung over and killed. There's also the issue of we're super weak to back row. We don't really have anything to stop us from losing the back row. All our guys are susceptible to widespread. We can easily be stopped by negate attack. We only have the 3 fiery blazes to even do anything about back row. Yeah, if we're lucky, we have a secret order Chroma to not just fold to widespread, but we lose to negate attack. If we're tributing, we lose to trap hole. It's very rough in that sense. But honestly, this deck is still really fun. I had a lot of fun playing it. I had a lot of fun testing it, and I would definitely recommend picking this up if it seemed interesting. And then that's it for the video, I guess. So before we wrap up, I would like to say, if there's a deck you would like to see featured in this series, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. If there's a card you think I missed in this deck, something I should have played, or I just don't have, or here's a misplay you were doing that misrepresents the deck, leave that in the comments as well. I would love to improve my game along with improving yours. Anyway, That said, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.